Welcome to my study today. There is and there are ways of introducing sentences in English, and if you can use them correctly, your spoken English sounds very good. But you have to be careful because they are weak forms in pronunciation. I give you some exercises for you to copy me, and there are also some written exercises for you to practice. So, let's get started. From my earlier videos, you'll know how to use the definite article. So we can look at this bottle of wine and a table, and we can ask this question. Where is the bottle of wine? The bottle of wine is on the table. And we can do that because we know which bottle and which table we mean. If we're speaking generally about a bottle of wine and a table, we can introduce the sentence with there is. There is a bottle of wine on a table, and here it is. And we're speaking really about the existence of this bottle of wine and the table. It's a location of unknown wine. But we do get some problems when we start to look at the grammar. There is a bottle of wine on a table, so let's analyse that. Well, we take the verb first, which we know is, part of the verb to be, and we ask the question, who or what is? The answer, the subject we think, is there. But what does there mean? It doesn't really mean anything, does it? The actual subject of this sentence is the bottle of wine. Look at it this way. A bottle of wine is on a table. Now if we said is the verb and what is the subject, who or what, we get a bottle of wine. So we apply that to the there is sentence. You may ask, well, why do you say there is? Why don't you just say is a bottle of wine on a table, as you can in some languages? The problem is, if I change the intonation, listen, is a bottle of wine on a table? Then I get a question form. So we can't use that way. We need the introductory there is. When we use there is to introduce a sentence, we use a weak form pronunciation. And it sounds like the definite article actually. There is. Notice you can just hear the R, which I've put in brackets, and of course is as shown. Look at this sentence. There is a crow in the tree. There is a crow in the tree. That's very weak. And there's an even weaker form in colloquial and spoken English, which is the one you'll probably hear most of. There's a crow in the tree. There's a crow in the tree. The word there in English can also be an adverb of place, but there is a difference in the pronunciation. It's a much stronger form and sounds like there. The crow is in the tree over there. So you can quite easily tell whether you're looking at an adverb or an existential there is. There is an adverb of place. There is changes to there are when it's followed by a plural noun, but it's still a weak form. There are. There are two bottles on the table. But watch out for this. We can use there is even if the following noun is plural. It's just colloquial and we do it in everyday speech. There's two bottles on the table. There's two bottles on the table. And of course the tenses change, so you have to be aware of that. There can be followed by a different tense. Once upon a time there were 3 dogs, past tense. There has never been anybody like Elvis, present perfect. And you will probably hear that as there's never been anybody like Elvis. This structure also appears in complex sentences and with modal verbs. There might be rain tomorrow. If John hadn't acted quickly, there could have been a bad fire. It's between a weak and a stronger form. There could have been a bad fire. You'll find there is and there are in formal and literary use, especially with the stated verbs. Remember, these are the ones that don't use the ing endings. live, exist, remain. Here's an example. In the old cottage there lived a witch. And also when we're talking about the arrival of somebody or something, especially with these verbs, come, arise, appear, enter, and follow. Here's an example. At midnight there entered a tall, dark figure. Here are some collocations so you can practice the weaker form of there is. Please copy me. There's some wine on the table. There's some wine on the table. There isn't any money in his pockets. There isn't any money in his pockets. Is there anybody at home? Is there anybody at home? There's somebody knocking at the door. There's somebody knocking at the door. I am right. There's no point in arguing. I am right. There's no point in arguing. There's something I must tell you. There's something I must tell you. My mobile rang, but there's nobody there. My mobile rang, but there's nobody there. This is a good example of the there adverb at the end of the sentence, and you notice I said there, the full, stronger pronunciation. There is a special use which is quite good to use if you really want to impress people with your English. You can say there's something wrong with our TV, but a good way of expressing that is there's something the matter with our TV. When something is wrong, you can say there's something the matter with it. Before we move on to the exercise, if you found this grammar lesson useful, could I ask you to subscribe below and ring that bell? Thanks. Now let's have a look at the exercise. Fill in the blank spaces with there's or there are, but you've got to do it in the correct tenses, so be careful. And here are the answers. Next time we'll have a look at that very small but very important word, it's. So, please subscribe below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.